Scot for Scots here. A good track can feed the soul. And while this might be music from the heavens, it's not gonna feed your lawn. If your yard needs some life, then you need Scott's Turf Builder. You just put it down once now, then again this summer to thicken your lawn and get it growing strong. Ooh, that's some lush lawn vibes right there.
Get a bag of Scott's Turf Builder today. It's guaranteed or your money back.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
The Purple Mafia, with your host, Paladino Joey.
Well, we'll see. The doctors would disagree, but what do they know?
So let's just say that you'll pay me because it's in your interest to pay me.
Is it worth it? I mean, you've won. Do you want to wipe everybody out?
I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. It's just my enemy. That's all. My father taught me many things. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
These are wonderful things that we've achieved, and there's no limit to where we can go from here.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. It is Tuesday, August 20th, 2013. This is episode number 142 of Purple Mafia. Purple Mafia is available on the sportstuff.com and on iTunes. I thank each and every one of you always for downloading and listening to this show. It is very exciting to be here today to talk about the Minnesota Vikings yet again. We have 2 preseason games in the books. We're not going to review the games in depth. We are going to look at the performance of the players. Certain players, certain situations with the players, generalizing things at times, and then digging deep with certain players here and there. Yeah, that's pretty much the idea of the preseason, right? Well, yeah, it pretty much is. Well, some of you may have seen that I have a major announcement or special announcement to make coming into this show, episode number 142, on the Facebook page and on Twitter. I just tweeted it like right before I came on here tonight. And, well, Purple Mafia, along with Timberwolves Explosion and Brave the Wild, my other shows, well, of course, we are affiliated on the sportstuff.com. They are the flagship for this show, and the other two, but we are now also joining an affiliation with Dakota Sports FM. That's right, Dakota Sports FM is a very exciting time right now. They also air shows onto TuneIn, which is Android and Apple devices. So that's like a live streaming deal there. So do check out Dakota Sports FM. So there's another network. That's pretty much the point of media. You join with networks. You network. That's basically what's going on, and it's finally beginning. And this is very exciting times for this show, and of course the other 2 shows as well, and hopefully for Dakota Sports FM and the sportstuff.com. Sometimes, or a lot of times, working together when it comes to shows and websites ends up benefiting, and this is going to be, we hope, a very nice relationship and beneficial for both parties, for all involved. Actually, it's not just 2 parties; it's actually 3, because it's myself, Dakota Sports FM, and of course Dylan Richardson of the sportstuff.com. Dakota Sports FM, though, by the way, the main guy there, who was the one who was kind enough to get in touch with me along the way, his name is Travis. Very, very appreciative of him contacting me. Travis Cranes, thank you so much again. He is the new guy there, starting anew there. He is taking over the website, which is, of course, live streaming podcasts, and, of course, Dan Patrick as well. It's a sports station for some young people, some older guys like me, and, of course, even Dan Patrick. So it's like, this is an exciting time. Things are developing for all parties involved, like I said before. So thanks again, all of you that have supported this show. Thanks again, Travis, and thank you always, Dylan Richardson. Thank you so very much. So, speaking of making things possible and adding to the show and all that, Brent Jacobson, hey, longtime friend for this show and for myself as well, not just the show, but and the other shows. But thank you so much. He calls in once again. It has been a little while since Brent has called in, but always an entertaining call, and we're going to get to him very shortly. By the way, the phone line is 209-736-7877. 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. Mention what show you're calling into, which is, of course, the Purple Mafia show. And your show will be played on air with me. It will be good times always. Always adds to the show. Of course, there's the Facebook page, facebook.com/Purple Mafia show. Simply click like on there and post whatever you want, as long as it's on topic for the most part. And, of course, at Purple Mafia show is the Twitter. But, again, welcome to those of you that may be listening via Dakota Sports FM. And really nice to meet you. Hopefully, it would be nice to hear from you at some point on any of those ways to contact the show that I just mentioned. It would be great. So thanks again for that, Brent Jacobson. Sorry for rambling a little bit there, but I gotta do what I gotta do. Let's get to Brent Jacobson's call.
Messages for Joey and Purple Mafia. Brent here. First things first. Huge props to Sebastian for joining the Navy, and huge props for your call, man. Secondly, I'm beginning to think that, from what I'm hearing so far, Ponder might actually be finally starting to, quote-unquote, get it. Though, it is preseason, and this is just against, quote-unquote, friendly fire, so we'll see. Don't write off Castle yet. I honestly think last year in Kansas City, they only had two weapons, Charles and Bo, and a crappy offensive line, the different word I wanted to use, but trying to keep it PG-13 here. Secondarily, Sheriff Floyd, Colonel Patterson, just from what I heard from the first preseason game, I wasn't able to watch because I was stuck at one of the gates working security, but hey, a paycheck is a paycheck. From what I hear, Floyd was a beast. Patterson sounded like Percy, who? Randy, who? I know, it's early yet, but hey, one can hope. Lastly here, I'd keep I can't wait to see the game on Friday against Buffalo, see how we do better there on the road, and go from there. Lastly, I do agree with you, Joey, that Judd is better than PA. Yeah, but I still do miss PA and Dubé. Go Vikings. Kick some butt this week against Buffalo, and but what the heck does it matter? It is just preseason. Nobody get hurt. Let's see what happens. Let's have fun and Skol Vikings. Catch you later, Joey. Bye.
And I thank you for that call. Always, Brent. Very cool. Very welcome member of the Purple Mafia. Thank you so much for that call. Yeah, those of you out there, Dakota Sports FM, that are maybe listening for the first time, I try to keep this a very listener-friendly show. I might cut down a little bit on some of the Facebook and Twitter type stuff this year because I don't want to bore all of you to death with just too much reading and such. We got to, get to, though it is great to get as many people's opinions as possible, but I got to kind of break it down a bit to differing opinions, not just Ponder sucks, Ponder sucks, whatever. I'm just making that up, but whatever the item is, because it kind of happened a lot last year. All right, to the call. Sebastian. Thank you for the shouting out to Sebastian there, and the congratulations of him going to the Navy. Sebastian, young man who's really been a big fan of this show for a while, off to the Navy. To those of you that may be wondering what I'm talking about there. Ponder. I hope he's figuring it out. I hope so. Because obviously that's one of the highlights of the call there. I really hope Christian Ponder is figuring it out. The preseason play has been so sporadic, so little that, I mean, it's like you're looking for you're basically waiting for a shooting star to see Ponder playing this preseason. So it's really hard to say, but in the small amount of time that we've seen him play, it's just, so far it kind of looks like the same junk, but who knows? We'll see. Next topic. Floyd looking good, but I'm hard to not be excited about Sharif Floyd and really all three of the rookies coming in. Of course, Rhodes and Patterson. We'll get to the Patterson bit here in a second that you mentioned, but also, of course, to note Floyd will be missing the remainder of the preseason because of a minor procedure on his knee. That's been kind of a little nagging injury the last week or so with Sharif Floyd, unfortunately, but hey, to be honest, I'm glad we're not the Green Bay Packers so far this preseason with injury. If that's the worst thing that happens, we'll be okay. So that's the good thing. Rhodes, Xavier Rhodes, that is, he's had a little nagging injuries as well. But hey, he played. He looks good so far. He's aggressive. You gotta like that. Patterson, of course, that being my favorite draft pick of them all, Cordero Patterson. How can you not love him? Absolutely thrilled. Wasn't nearly as visible in the second game as he was in the first, but, when it comes to the preseason. But, man, I think, he has what many have called the it factor, including Judd Zulgad, like you mentioned him also in that call. He has the it factor, does Cordero Patterson. And, of course, the it factor being obviously just, what athletes, the good and great athletes have when they just get it. They get it. And physically they get it, obviously, and mentally. So Cordero Patterson off to a really good start in his career, and it's looking good right now. If he's a stock, a lot of people are buying right now, and that price is going to be soaring very soon. Hopefully it continues to rise and rise and rise. Very exciting about Cordero Patterson. Yeah, I did mention that the Judd and Dubé show is better than PA. I do miss PA and Dubé as well. I think, when it comes to Paul Allen, KFAN versus AM 1500, I'd like Judd and Dubé more, yes. But, interesting thoughts there. Yeah, I miss it when it was PA and Dubé, but I still think Judd and Dubé actually are better than PA and Dubé. Honest to God. Talk about going off topic. That's what PA's been doing pretty much for 15 years. I don't know. He was just more entertaining about it years ago than he has been of late. But okay, enough of my ripping cafe. And I better be careful about that. All right, so let's go to the Facebook page before I get too crazy. Thanks again for that call, Brent. And again, those of you out there, don't be afraid to call in. Again, 209-736-7877. Not too complicated, right? All right, so a brief thread when I talked about the, we were recording episode 141, a brief thread. Had a little tiny conversation start with a few guys. Mark Carlson, all excited about the new show. I thank you for that so much. And again, he's wishing Sebastian Balls the best of luck in the naval career. Yeah, I can't disagree with that, obviously. So, plain and simple, just a lot of stuff going on. Sebastian needed the show recorded last week as soon as possible, and I made sure. I gave him my word. I told him I would do it because obviously he was, a busy situation with the Navy and such. I got it up. So I absolutely try to keep my word, I'm not playing around. I'm not playing around. I'm going to do the best I can to do that. Patrick Grant also talking about Cordero Patterson. So thank you, Patrick, for joining the show here. He said the kid is going to be a star when I talked about Cordero Patterson, because I was asking everybody who's excited about Cordero Patterson, wanted to generate a little conversation. That's obviously the goal of radio, isn't it? Without a doubt. Oh, boy, I hate how slow Facebook can load at times, but that's just how it goes. Todd Vandermeer, really, Sepp, he was unable to see him because he was at work. Malcolm was very excited. He was teasing me a little bit. He's saying, "Why don't you like Patterson, Joey? I just don't understand why you bash him." No, he was teasing me there because he knows I'm obsessed with him. He also responds with that he did listen to the show recently, was jumping up and down when they drafted him, so I know how you feel. And, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Cordell Patterson is... Oh, I mean, how can you not be excited as Viking fans? How can you not? Another comment, too, about both of the preseason games. I got to throw this in, too. Well, it's like I almost should save it for later, but I'll throw it in now. Maybe we'll get back to it later as well, but for the sake of just getting it done so I don't forget things. My personal MVP for the Vikings this preseason thus far is Stephen Burton, folks. Stephen Burton, because he's been talking about the it factor, but well, he's not really like a star athlete type of it factor, but he's had an amazing preseason. He's been returning punts. He's been making great catches, making great blocks. He's been all over the place. Stephen Burton is absolutely going to make the team if I would have anything to say about it. It's very exciting. This also generated a little conversation from some of you listeners out there. Again, always encourage you out there listening to join the page and join the discussion. It's more than worth it. I mean, why not? You know, and I'm always kind enough to interact. David Longfield, also he's on here, a little conversation. He likes Patterson for the MVP, and of course, there's no doubt about it. I'm obsessed with him. He says he's a little disappointed with the Vice today. How about you? That was in the Buffalo game, of course, and yeah, that was really. I think both games the Vikings offenses looked pretty bad. The blitzes were really stumbling, crushing the Vikings as well. We're going to get to that shortly. I'm getting a little out of hand here, or getting a little off track, but that's just how it goes. Generated a little teeny, well, not much of a conversation, but when I said there will be a major announcement, Justin Day said, "You're finally going to let me co-host with you?" Oh, Justin, I love you. I do. Justin Day, Justin from Rochester, great guy. You know, and hey, you know, at least call in sometime, Justin. Why not? You're always welcome to call in, and who knows? Maybe you'll be sometime. You know, just I'm not against it. Sometimes it's good to have. Sometimes two heads are better than one. Though I guess you're on the Facebook page. It's a lot of heads, isn't it? A lot of people talking. Checking for a couple other posts here over the last week or so. Looks like we got Mark Carlson and Malcolm talking. Mark Carlson, of course, out of Iowa. Malcolm out of Oakview, California. Gotta like that. Facebook has just been a headache so far tonight, but it's another thing. That's just how it goes. But Christian Ponder, right? He's obviously the X factor for this season. There is just no doubt about it. Mark mentioning that he's been telling his friends about the show. I really appreciate that. Mark. That's really cool of him to say. And, you know, but yeah, and I encourage you guys out there, do tell a friend about the show. It would be nice. Malcolm, I wish this thing... Malcolm was doing the best he could also keeping up with the Texans game. It was kind of tough. You know, both games I think were tough to watch, and that's basically what he was saying there. So I'm just gonna call it a day with the Facebook. It's not really working the way I would like, and enough is enough. Enough is enough with that. Brandon Krenger on the Twitter account, we'll get to that briefly, was saying how, for me, basically telling me to chill out when I got mad about Ponder's interception, but really ultimately that one was more of Jerome Simpson's fault. That guy could drive just about anybody crazy, couldn't he? Jerome Simpson. But, totally understand with that one. He was telling me, though, the one thing that kind of got me thinking and could generate me a little conversation here for me to tell you listeners out there, he was saying how it means nothing, but, well, when a player plays poorly in the preseason, okay, we can come out and say it means nothing. Yes, the wins and losses mean nothing, but when you're evaluating players, it does mean something as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not writing off I'm not the type that just writes off the preseason as if it's absolutely nothing. In the wins and losses, sure, but when you're analyzing players and you know the quarterback supposedly of the future that you're just you're really counting on at least for this year, you were hoping for the long-term future, but at least for this year. And when he's not playing well and he's showing signs that he's not improved and he's just still making the same type of mistakes, it means something, Brandon. It does, if you're listening. At BK Ranger, Ranigr. Okay. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It does mean something. it means more in my eyes than some of you out there. Dallas Deitzenbach also throwing in, saying that Cutler threw one on his first, but yeah, Jay Cutler, he's another guy who's, obviously the X factor of the Chicago Bears' success. He's had more success than Christian Ponder, and I know sometimes some of these guys, they'll go out there and they just screw around and they're not really out there trying to play a perfect game and all that, but Ponder's got something to prove, even more than Jay Cutler, honestly. It's driving me crazy though. But luckily, the interception was not Ponder's fault. But I'm just trying to say, if it was, you can't just write it off like it means nothing. Castle's interception was his fault. It was a terrible throw, just flat terrible. Now this, of course, in the Texans game. We'll get back to that shortly. Tyler Trott was asking me, was the interception Ponder's fault? And no, it was much more a misread by Jerome Simpson. Good times there, or misroute and all that good stuff. Justin in Rochester and Dallas Deitzenbach telling me how, they're really excited about Cordell Patterson, and Justin telling me how I was excited the whole offseason, my friend. And yes, I was. Yes, I was. I was plugging him the whole time. Antonio Fett, the son of Mark Carlson, and Anthony Carlson saying, tough loss, but good to see our players put up a good fight. Matt Castle looked sharp. And yes, he spelled it Matt Castle like King of the Castle. That's kind of cool. I like that. I do. Dave Martin also a couple of comments telling me how this looks like 2011. I hope this is, hope last year wasn't a blip. And I agree. I agree, Dave. Ooh, man. Yeah, it's scary. I'll So thanks again, guys, for your tweets. Don't be afraid to tweet me during the games or during the week. Whenever you want, I'm always here. And I'll still probably read a good amount of them on the show. Today there wasn't like a ton, so I was okay with reading all of them or parts of them on the show. But when there's a lot, I got to tone it down because I don't want to drive your listeners crazy. I hope I haven't driven you crazy yet already. But no, I like to include my listeners. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You guys mean more to this show than anything. I mean, without the listeners, there is no show. And I think interacting with listeners is a good thing. I mean, you always got to encourage that, like mailbag on this show and, the booth, email the booth on that show, stuff like that. So those are other shows. They do stuff like that. So you had the Texans game. Really, the main attraction of that Texans game, I mean, it's almost like a blur after you see Cordell Patterson right out of the gate run for a 50-yard return. I mean, you're just running up and you're just jumping up and down. You're really excited. You're ready to see a star player out there. It's like, here we go. We have a star receiver now. Again, how can you not be excited about Cordell Patterson? I'm absolutely pumped about him. There's no doubt about it. There isn't a soul right now in Viking country that isn't excited about Cordell Patterson, and it feels good after what we've been through the past few years. Outside of Percy Harvin, we really haven't had all that much going on. Sidney Rice was good for 1 year under Brett Favre, but then he got hurt the next year and took off, and that was it. Outside of that, you've had the likes of Michael Jenkins, you've had Devin Aromashodu, and Bernard Berrien. It's just been a bunch of horse crap, really, for the most part. Jerome Simpson was pretty disappointing until like the very end of the year when Christian Ponder started figuring it out. So little against the last four teams there. Ponder started to figure it out gradually, and then eventually in the very final game against Green Bay, looked great. And unfortunately, he got hurt, and we all remember that. But it's nice to have some receivers, so you hope that Christian Ponder can step it up coming into this season. So, I mean, these games are really hard to review, to be honest. They really are. I mean, you want to look for highlights along the way. It's like these type of game reviews seem a bit less organized, and it feels unorganized just talking about it right now. Because these games, you're not evaluating the wins and losses, so it's not going to be as detailed of a game review. It's more of evaluating kind of player by player. Blair Walsh looks like he's the part yet again. He's not just a one-year wonder coming out of the gate, like one great freshman year and a lousy sophomore year. Things look okay so far with him. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, I was saying, I need to see more. And, when Sebastian is saying how it's like, I'll stand by him till I die. Basically, it's like, whoa, that's a pretty big statement. It's like McLeod Bethel-Thompson, all the talk about the big arm, but the lack of accuracy. And this first game against the Texans, it was a lack of accuracy. It really was. Only 44%, 4 of 9. Really, nothing too special out of him. No big arm either. Only 26 yards and 4 completions. It's just like, okay, great. Yards per attempt, 2.9. So basically 3 yards per attempt for young Mr. McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Didn't really see anything out of him in the first game. Matt Castle looked fairly strong in that first game, other than that horrible interception he threw. It was just like right to the defender. Very, very uninspired play by Matt Castle. Christian Ponder played only had 2 passing plays in the entire game. Stephen Burton led the team in receiving, including a 56-yard reception. Zach Line, though, was one of the other stories of the game. The fullback that I talked about back on the training camp show just 2 weeks ago already. Wow, it's already been 2 weeks. He made 1 catch and scampered for 61 yards to pay dirt. Zach Line, this fullback, this undrafted free agent fullback, to kind of sort of compete against the likes of Rhett Ellison or Jerome Felton. He's like a running back, fullback, whatever you want to call him, out of Southern Methodist. Well, all right then. That's you're gonna have to get back to me on that one. But an outstanding play. He also made some nice blocks along the way as well. Dark horse to make the team at best, though, because Jerome Felton is a Pro Bowl fullback. Rhett Ellison was a 4th-round pick that everybody loves. Haven't seen a whole lot out of him thus far. To me, he's still kind of an urban legend, which was a bit I used last year. And I guess, he is the urban legend of this show. I mentioned that on the Twitter account. So the urban legend, that's a guy who, it's like, does he actually exist? Does he exist? See, like John Carlson was like an urban legend most of last year. I brought his name up all the time. So the urban legend coming into the second game of the preseason was Rhett Ellison, the fullback tight end guy that the Vikings drafted in the 4th round last year, who's supposed to be this Jimmy Kleinsasser replacement. He finally caught a pass in the second game. Yeah, that's the urban legend. Zach Line, in a lot of ways, he's an urban legend, considering he made a 61-yard touchdown, kind of catch and scamper. Showed some serious quickness after that catch, because it wasn't all that long of a pass, maybe about a 15-yard pass or so, and he was just gone, and it was a sight to see. Cordell Patterson, by the way, looks dominant, especially in that first game. Targeted 4 times and caught all of them. Caught everything, and that's the good part about Cordell Patterson. What is the object of playing wide receiver, ladies and gentlemen? Can you fill me in on that one? To catch. Guys like Jerome Simpson over the years, it's okay. He's got great speed. He's really athletic. Blah blah. But can he catch? Yeah. Well, like 1 out of 3. Again, what's the object of wide receiver again? Is it to catch or is it to catch? That's the first part. The speed is great. I love it when they have speed. But if they can't catch the ball, that's pretty much the end of the story right there. When they can't catch the ball, then it kind of defeats the purpose of the speed. See, the question is, you catch the ball first, and then the speed comes in play. That's when it means something. Cordell Patterson does have both. Apparently, Stephen Burton does too. Holy Toledo, Stephen Burton. He's been catching passes. He's been returning kicks. He's been outstanding. I've been very impressed. Joe Webb has been catching a few short passes in both games, but overall, boy, oh boy, it's going to be a dogfight for that young man. The 6'4" former quarterback, Joe Webb, former quarterback turned receiver, who was originally supposed to be a receiver when drafted in the 6th round. Vikings have a very rich history of first-round picks, which I've mentioned in the past. At least two consecutive centers have been drafted out of the 6th round and made it to the Pro Bowl multiple times. That being Mr. John Sullivan and Matt Burke. It's been a very cool deal there with a 6th round pick. Hopefully Joe Webb can be another one of those 6th round pick gems. We'll hope. We'll wait and see at wide receiver. He was originally supposed to be wide receiver, And then they said, throw the ball once, let's see what it looks. Oh, okay, let's put him at quarterback. And, yeah, I don't know. Hope that may have stunted his growth as a wide receiver, huh? Because he doesn't look bad, but just nothing much going on yet. Jarius Wright hasn't been targeted all that much, but he's most certainly the third receiver on this team right now, and that's a perfect role for Jarius Wright, who, again, is a guy I've mentioned many times that I absolutely love. Absolutely love Jarius Wright. It's kind of looking like, well, there's 4 receivers that are a flat-out lock. We already know. You got Jennings at 1. You got, well, right now they're calling Simpson the number 2. I think it's Cordero Patterson, but we'll just say Cordero Patterson just for the sake of, the way I feel. The host of the show here. Jarius Wright's the 3rd guy. Jerome Simpson's the 4th guy. Stephen Burton would be that 5th guy. So I guess that's it. I guess Stephen Burton's the guy. It's probably not going to be Mr. Thielen or any of the others. So unfortunately for them, it's unlikely, or possibly Joe Webb. Possibly. Webb is going to have a hard time making this team, though, unless they're going to keep 6 receivers. So I'm not sure, because you get Jennings, Cordero, Wright, Patterson, Simpson, and then Burton. That's 5. That's probably what they're going to keep. So I guess that's it. Unfortunately for those of you that would have liked to see one of the homegrown guys make the club. Joe Baynard, also like one of those backup running backs, one of those unsigned running backs looking to make life miserable for, or at least interesting for Matt Asiata, who was the 3rd running back last year. Obviously you have Adrian and Toby and the number 1 and number 2 running backs. But Matt Asiata was the 3rd running back last year. Joe Baynard making a case to be the 3rd running back. Looked very good in the 2nd game. That was very cool to see. Marcus Sherrill's still kind of like a fair catch type of guy thus far. Oh, man. Excuse me for bouncing around a bit there. But, okay, I'm getting mixed up with the 2nd game. Yeah, I'm still kind of on the first one for the most part, but I'm throwing in stuff along the way because that's just how it goes. It's just the way things are going to be. Christian Ballard did get a sack in the first game. That's the only sack the Vikings were able to get. We're not seeing much pass rush early on here from the Vikings, at least not from what I could see. Am I missing something? I apologize. A guy in the secondary who's been making a really strong case to make the team is Bobby Felder. Not only as a solid backup safety, cornerback, secondary type of guy, I believe a safety, but also a kick returner, special teams and such. Bobby Felder, I think, makes the club. That's a guy who's been doing very well. It's kind of sounds like Adi Cole and Mike Motti are gonna really might be duking it out for one of the linebacker positions. So Mike Motti are going to be duking it out for that position. That's Mr. 3 ACL guy out of Penn State. So that's another thing to talk about. Looks like Adi Cole has the lead so far, unfortunately for Mike Motti. So we'll see. I really like Mike Motti, though. He does look like the real deal. Cole played better in the first game. I believe Motti played a little better in the second. Desmond Bishop's very much up in the air. Did not play in the first game due to the chagrin of a lot of Viking fans and coaches along the way. Now, by the way, Minnesota loses 27-13 against Houston in that first game at home. Not an impressive game at all, unfortunately, for Minnesota, if you really care about the wins and losses. But also, just the Vikings didn't play particularly well in that game. And other than seeing Cordero Patterson look really awesome, that was pretty much about it for the most part. Cordero Patterson and Stephen Burton, looking really good. A couple of receivers there looking really good. Other than that, there really wasn't all too much to get excited about in that first game. The second game was horrendous for the first 3 quarters if you're a Minnesota Viking fan. Absolutely horrendous. The offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings struggled mightily. And I mean, big time, in so many ways. Matt Khalil got beat multiple times. John Sullivan had 2 bad snaps, if I remember correctly. At least, well, the Vikings center, whoever it was John Sullivan for the first one for sure. Had a bad snap to Christian Ponder, and then there was another bad snap. I forget if the second one was John Sullivan or the backup center at the time, but my goodness. My goodness, what the offensive line couldn't have had a worse day, really, because it seemed like the Vikings quarterbacks were on their back the whole time. It's a miracle the Vikings got even a point in the first half. No, they would have scored. They would have scored because Stephen Burton, who's got such great numbers here in the preseason, well, not only does he have great numbers, but there's also a certain statistic that is not on the scoreboard or in the stat sheet because it got nullified due to a hold by Tyrone McKenzie, linebacker, who got an absolute butt-chewing by the special teams coach. Stephen Burton returned a kickoff for 101 yards to pay dirt, only to be nullified due to holding. Very, very frustrating for Stephen Burton and, of course, the special team coach. He was upset, running around, screaming, jumping up and down, and then calming down a little bit later on. But, boy, oh boy, it was entertaining to watch in some ways, but Stephen Burton, yeah. The numbers would be even better. So, if there's any doubt Stephen Burton makes the team, you're crazy if you're doubting that, to be honest. There will be no break on this show. In future shows, there will be, but this one, no, because it's a preseason show. For me, the way it's structured today, there's no reason for a break. So just letting you out there know about future structures of the show and current structure here. So, yeah, there will be no break today. Just letting you know, between games, what's the point? I did mention how Christian Ponder just still seems to be the same guy, and he does look like the same guy so far. Was it because Buffalo was taking this game way more seriously than the Vikings and most people do in the preseason? Possibly, because the Buffalo Bills were way over the top in going into this game. There's no doubt about this team was playing like their life depended on it, and because okay, here comes the defense. They're blitz. Like every other play, it was a blitz. It's like, holy moly, man! You think they're trying to make the postseason here? And then and what does the offense do for the Buffalo Bills? What did they do? No huddle. Oh my God! It's like what? Yeah, no huddle. No huddle offense in a preseason game? Right out of the gate? Okay. Okay, I'm glad nobody got hurt that I know of. If somebody did, well, sorry, I apologize, because this game was so gosh darn boring, I may have tuned out a little bit. Because, yeah, it got that way if you're a Viking fan. It got kind of boring. It did, just a little bit. Especially watching a guy like Kevin Kolb, and, well, the way Christian Ponder played wasn't all too exciting either. Kevin Kolb. Seriously, Kevin Kolb. You got rid of Ryan Fitzpatrick for Kevin Kolb? What? Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, I know he's not a great quarterback, but he seemed to be like the only positive thing going on in Buffalo the last four years or so, when it looked like they had a shot of being a bubble playoff team at times before they would collapse in the second half of the season, like every other stinking year. So you get rid of him for Kevin Kolb? I mean, you're going to say, okay, we're done with this Fitzpatrick guy. He's not going to get us anywhere. We're wasting our freaking time. So then you bring in Kevin Kolb? Really? That's pretty funny. Really, Kevin Kolb. What part of the 4-12 season last year did you see with Arizona that impressed you? Now, Kevin Kolb didn't play the whole season, and that's the other problem. He can't stay healthy either. Not only is he not that good, but he can't stay healthy. What was the point, Buffalo? What are you doing out here? Well, the good news is, for the Buffalo Bills, and those of you might be slapping me around as I say this, or as I was saying that the whole time, like, okay, Joey, you know that they drafted E.J. Manuel, right? Yeah, they did draft E.J. Manuel. And, yeah, Kevin Kolb's numbers were good in the short time last year, but overall, the guy is not that big of a deal. He's just not. He only played 6 games last year, by the way. Numbers were okay in limited time, but he had 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not bad, but overall, he's never been anything special. He's just that great backup, I guess. He's that awesome backup, like Ty Detmer. Greatest backup ever. Cody Carlson of the Houston Oilers many years ago. Greatest backup ever, man. Yeah. Okay, I'll calm down now. EJ Manuel looks good. With all that said, EJ Manuel looks pretty good, actually. So Buffalo does have a chance at quarterback, with a quarterback of the future in EJ Manuel. So in a way, okay, I get it. Kevin Cobb was just a Band-Aid, but I would have stuck with Fitzpatrick, say, if Manuel wasn't ready. I would have stuck with Fitzpatrick. It's not the end of the world if Fitzy, we'll call him, becomes a backup quarterback to EJ Manuel later on. It's not the end of the world, honest to God. I mean, what is he now? Backup somewhere else. So I would have rather taken my chances with Ryan Fitzpatrick than Kevin Cobb. Okay, I made that point already. Just had to rant a little bit about Buffalo being a little bit overzealous in this game. It's a preseason game, guys. Calm down. Calm down. But again, EJ Manuel, yeah, I mean, he completed almost every pass practically. 10 out of 12 were completed. He threw a touchdown. He ran also fairly well. Very good quarterback. Very nice possibility with EJ Manuel there. And it's about time the Buffalo Bills did something right at quarterback for the first time in a while. They always try to make a splash here and there, though, with getting with Drew Bledsoe and such. But, oh well, we'll see what happens. 16th overall pick was EJ Manuel, by the way. So, of course, and I know that's why, you guys might be slapping my face like Joey. They drafted EJ Manuel, right? But, again, I just can't stomach the thought of Fitzpatrick getting dumped for Kevin Cobb. It just hurts thinking about it. It doesn't make much sense. Okay, again, I'll calm down. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't Matt Ryan or anything, so whatever. Joe Baynard making a strong case for the third running back, like I said already. Very strong case. Very solid game. Only 7 rushes, 47 yards, almost 7 yards a carry, and a touchdown. He looked very good. He's quick. He's shifty. He's strong. He looks good. I like Joe Banyard out of Sweetwater, Texas. He played for UTEP, and he looks good. I like Joe Banyard. In fact, he looks better. He looks better than Matt Asiata thus far, who's looked kind of like a non-factor. Really, he got a little share of rushes in the game, and didn't do all that much. He looked more impressive last preseason, to be honest. But, that's why these guys are here. He looks nice so far. So let's continue with the quarterback position. Matt Castle looked average, and that's about it. End of story. Matt Castle looked like a backup quarterback in this game. It looked a lot like Kevin Cobb, except without the horrible interception of last game or Kevin Cobb's interception in this game. Matt Castle was unimpressive. Again, looked like a backup. But when I said I needed to see more out of MBT, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, that was my opinion of him on the last show. And going into this game and, and all that good stuff, we need to see more from McLeod Bethel-Thompson for me to really give a crap about him. We saw more. We did. A little more. Not a lot more. A little more. He had a very nice touchdown pass in this game. And overall, he was 10 of 17. The accuracy was good, though you got to note, most of his passes were Christian Ponder types, if you know what I mean, as in very short passes, where he pretty much had to get rid of the ball and hopefully get a first down or get some type of short gain. That's basically all it was. But again, it was a nice pass. It didn't look like a dominant big arm type of throw, but the one thing that was impressive about it, in terms of arm strength out of McLeod Bethel-Thompson, now again, like I'm saying, it didn't have the look of like a just super arm. But the point is, it also had the look of there was so much ease in that throw. He just sailed it up there like it was nothing. He tossed it up there like it was a tennis ball to Rodney Smith. Rodney Smith's only catch in the game, and it was a 35-yard touchdown. All of a sudden, the Vikings were right back in the game, just like that. because Buffalo didn't exactly build a huge lead. And it was a classic Vikings type of game where, gosh, if it wasn't for that stupid kick return getting nullified, we might have won the game. And we had a solid drive going late in the game. That just disappeared. It died. It got to fourth down, and we ended up getting nothing out of it. But McLeod Bethel-Thompson, I saw something from him in this game. That he could at least be maybe a number 2 quarterback in this league at some point. Maybe a spot starter at some point as well. We'll just have to wait and see with how that goes. But we finally saw something out of McLeod Bethel-Thompson, in my opinion, other than, he's got a great arm. He's got the tools. But you can say that till the cows come home, and it doesn't really matter all that much. So we quickly slide over to defense. Mr. Raymond led the team in tackles. It's like, who's that again? Mr. Raymond, almost forgot about him, by the way. Bobby Felder was excellent. He's making tackles all over the place, and again, doing kick returns as well. He looks really good. I love Bobby Felder. I hope he makes the team. Xavier Rhodes deflected a pass. Jamarca Sanford also deflected a pass. God, I'm looking forward to this secondary coming into this season. We know what Harrison Smith can do, but to see Jamarca and now we saw what Jamarca Sanford could do. We finally saw it last year. It was a sight to see. He even got an interception in the game. Not only did he deflect the pass, but he also actually caught an interception this time instead of dropped it. So Jamarca Sanford continues to state his case to be the starting safety for this team long term, not only just this year, but maybe for a while. And that's surprising, considering what Jamarca Sanford was his first year as a starter in this league in 2011. He was part of a 3-13 team, and he was a big part of the 13 because he got beat so much, and he would drop easy interceptions. He didn't deflect anything. All he could do is hit people hard, and that was always my take. But yeah, he does hit people hard, but now he's adding pass deflections, interceptions, and knocking the ball out of people's hands. Be it killing the pass, killing the catch because the ball got knocked dead from the hit, or forcing fumbles, which Jamarca Sanford did several times last year. So very happy with Jamarca Sanford, showing no signs of slowing down coming into this year. No signs of slumping coming into this year either. I don't really expect him to slow down because he's not old or anything, but I'm just saying his skill is noticed. His skill is definitely noticed by this host. A.J. Jefferson, to me, I don't know. I'm just looking at his name, and that's about it. Well, he may make the team as the last corner. We'll wait and see how things go there. I like Gerald Hodges so far. Nothing super exciting, but it looks he got the job done, though, for the most part. Xavier Rhodes, though. Guys like Xavier Rhodes, Jamarca Sanford, Harrison Smith. It looks good thus far. Bobby Felder, I think, is going to get some playing time going into the year as well. It's looking good for him. Josh Robinson, well, he hasn't gotten us killed. He even deflected a pass as the the slot corner thus far, even though a lot of people would tell you he's not really built for the slot corner position. But he's playing okay so far. The urban legend, yes, the real urban legend of them all, Desmond Bishop exists. He assisted on 4 tackles and also assisted on a sack in this game. Gotta like that. Desmond Bishop assisted on a sack. So maybe, just maybe, Desmond Bishop will still make this club. I hope so for his sake. Oh man. Desmond Bishop, you better make this team, buddy. Get healthy, man. Get healthy, Desmond Bishop. Stay healthy. Make this club, please. It was Tyron McKenzie, yep, by the way, that I mentioned earlier, yep. That screwed up that thing, yep. Hopefully I said his, yeah, I did say his name right. I'm just freaking out here, sorry. A lot of people like Anthony McLeod. Whatever, I don't know. We'll see. Dark horse at best to make the club. The game was really, 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 really difficult to watch until the fourth quarter. It reeked of a fourth quarter comeback, but unfortunately for the Minnesota Vikings, did not finish that way. But again, the wins and losses don't matter too much, though. It just reeked like one of those stupid losses the Vikings had in the past. Thank God it didn't count in the regular season. Hopefully they can learn from their mistakes, and hopefully that offensive line plays better when the season starts, because it's not looking good so far. Through 2 games, the offensive line does not look good. The quarterbacks outside of McLeod Bethel-Thompson don't look all too special. Castle played good in the first game, did not play good in the second game. McLeod Bethel-Thompson was non-existent in the first game, looked strong in the second game. Now it's Christian Ponder time. The third game against the San Francisco 49ers going into Sunday night. Am I going to preview that game? No, it's a preseason game. I'm not going to preview it at all, other than Christian Ponder. This is time for Christian Ponder to put some faith in the hearts of Minnesota Viking fans. This is time for Christian Ponder to show at least something. Some type of pocket presence. Some type of confidence out there. Ability to make an accurate throw that's longer than 2 yards. The ability to stay in the pocket when being rushed in order to possibly complete a real pass rather than just a panic pass. This is what it's about going into San Francisco on Sunday night. Minnesota needs to win this game. No, they don't need to win the game. What am I talking about? But Christian Ponder needs to win over the fan base. That's what I'm trying to say. Needs to win over the fan base. It's gonna be a long climb though for Christian Ponder to do that. Even if he plays super well in the game, it's gonna be like, yeah, okay, it was a preseason game. Who cares? But it'd be nice to see Christian Ponder show a little hint of improvement going into this season. But I guess we're gonna have to really, truly wait to see that in Game 1 against Detroit. Ultimately, Game 1, the real Game 1. But we're not quite there yet. No, we are not. So, again, guys, thank you so much. Again, so nice to hear from you out there, Dakota Sports FM. Hopefully, you guys can join the Facebook page. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Really nice to meet you out there, Travis, and others that will be joining at some point. Hopefully, maybe someone can call in. Someone can post on the Facebook page. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But it's really nice to be on the airwaves with you. Also, Dakota Sports FM does tune-in radio as well, so that'll be really cool. You're going to be able to hear Purple Mafia, Timberwolves Explosion, and Brave the Wild on tune-in radio as well. Very, very exciting. Very exciting indeed. So, thanks again so much for that. Again, Purple Mafia, ultimately, though, the flagship website is thesportstuff.com. Do check that website out, and it'd be appreciated so very much. Don't be afraid to check out the other shows on there. Hopefully, we'll be getting a basketball show or two on that page coming up, a possible Lakers show. Just throwing that out there. The possibility is strong of that. No reason to really keep that a secret. It's just a very strong possibility. It'd be great to have that on there. Be a very welcome addition. So out there, please do tell a friend about the show. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little bit hyper, a little bit excited tonight because I'm finally on. I'm on Dakota Sports FM. It's just another arm. Another arm. When you're growing the body of the network, so to speak, the Purple Mafia Radio Network. I'm just making that up, but I mean it's networking with other networks. That's what's exciting about this. So try to do my best to continue to broaden our horizons. So great to have the Dakotas involved with this show, particularly South Dakota, but hopefully North as well as listening. So thanks again, guys. We'll hopefully have another show up after the next game. Sorry that I didn't have a show last week. Just kind of busy, just wanted to get 2 games in to really be able to assess the team, because that first game was borderline unreviewable, to be honest with you. It was that Texans game was borderline unreviewable. I mean, that's why I kind of had a hard time with it earlier. It's like, well, what really was there to say about that game other than Cordero Patterson was freaking awesome and Stephen Burton looked good. That's about it. And it's like, well, after that, it's like, I don't know, whatever. Also, I was fighting with the TV a lot of that night because it was having problems. I was able to keep up with the game just fine, but I got to tell you, that the TV was distracting the crap out of me at times, trying to fix it. So it's just one of those things. It wasn't the TV, it was the video feed going into the TV. was having some serious problems and eventually had to have a technician come out to repair wires outside, not inside. Inside, I can take care of it myself personally, but outside, really, I'm not supposed to, quite frankly. I'm not supposed to be out there climbing electric lines. That's not a very good idea. No. Especially if I'm not getting paid to do it. Paid professional, all that good stuff. That's not a good idea. So, really, with no further ado, we are going to call it a show. We should have another Purple Mafia recorded after the San Francisco game. Possibly Monday or so, I'll have another show recorded. And we'll be ready to talk Vikings again. Don't be afraid to call in. Don't be afraid to post in the Facebook page or mention on the Twitter. Interact on the Twitter account as well, at Purple Mafia Show. And then, of course, Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Dakota Sports FM. Don't be afraid to go there and check out the other shows on there as well. And, of course, thesportsstuff.com. Thanks again, everybody. We'll be back soon.